sign up. Here we go. Woohoo! Ready to roll. Hello, everybody. Hi again
Hello.
to Eric.
I don't have audio.
You can't, I can hear you, Linda. All right. Hi, Louise. How you doing? Awesome. Awesome. Good to see everybody. Yay, good. Okay, so I'm going to continue to let people in, and our spotlight speaker is Tracy Lamb, and she is running to her computer to be able to log in at this time. So while we are waiting for her to be jumping in and me to be multitasking, I would like to know, does anybody have any great stories of being out flying, right? Any? I know I've seen, you know, I'm a stalker on social media. I've seen people out there. All right, Eric, let's hear it.
Well, I was over in Europe and I found out belatedly that you need to register your drone, even if you have a Mavic Mini, because it has a camera on it. So I took the test in Germany, managed to pass it, and then it rained the entire rest of the time, so I didn't fly. But I got home and I have a beautiful flower field right outside of our house along the railroad tracks. And so I got to fly there yesterday, and it was quite nice.
Wow. And so you just run in and say, hey, I need to take this test. Amazing, you passed it right away.
I just barely did. I was using Google Translate, so it was kind of entertaining.
Oh my gosh. Well, there's a story, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it didn't result in any flights, but it was kind of fun. I learned a little German.
There you go. And yes, you know, before you go and you fly in other countries, there's so much to learn. And so actually that's a really good segue, Eric, to the Thailand trip that we have been working on, and we're hoping to have had it this year, but it looks like we're going to move it to next year. Is there something that we need to prepare for that trip?
Well, yes, there is. The problem is that the Thai government changes the rules and regulations on about a monthly basis. So I would suggest that probably in fall, we look at what the rules are today and then start planning accordingly. Certainly out on the island where our place is, there are no rules. So yeah, as evidenced by some of the rather high pictures I've taken there. But yeah, if we're flying around temples, we'll certainly follow the regulations of that week anyway.
Well, that would be good. I think one rule might be, you had shared in the past, hold on to your stuff or the monkeys will get it.
Yes, anything you leave on the ground that's shiny and under about 3 or 4 pounds, the monkeys will grab. And they take it up in the tree and play with it, and then they throw it on the ground for entertainment purposes afterwards. So yeah, if you set that drone down and you're just trying to calibrate the compass or something like that, better make sure there aren't any monkeys around. Otherwise, monkeys are going to have a drone.
Yeah, and I like to keep mine.
I kind of like that too.
Yes. So, well, it looks like we actually can kind of get the ball rolling. I did see Tracy, who's probably out of breath, running, trying to get here. So we're super excited to have her here. Tracy, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for having me, Desi. And I'm so sorry. I do not know what happened, but this was in my calendar for this afternoon, not this morning, despite it obviously being 9 a.m. In the link. So thank you all for your patience. It's such a pleasure to be here. And I'm really excited to talk to you. And it's obviously going to happen much earlier than I had anticipated. So thanks for your patience, everybody.
You know what? That's what I love about this coffee connection. It is just we're real, life happens. And so I can imagine you're running back to your computer. And do you even have your presentation that I know you have, but you
Yes.
need to go find that and get it ready. And so I get it. I totally get it.
Yes, I do. I'm all ready to go. And it's funny that you say life happens. The reason why I'm so cattywampus this morning is I'm actually in San Antonio right now, and I was about to head off to the hospital to visit a girlfriend of mine who had a scooter accident of all things and is in hospital having broken her upper thigh bone when her husband landed on her. So drones are a lot safer than those automated scooters, ladies and gentlemen. So please, don't do crazy scooter things.
Wow. Well, I hope she's okay and everything heals quickly and
Mm.
she heals well. So
Thank you, Desi. That's very kind of you. And to answer that question, thigh bones are apparently the worst thing you can break in your body apart from your spine. So yes, she's definitely going a long road of recovery ahead. But I'm just so glad you texted me, Desi, and I'm ready to share my screen and get
awesome.
started.
Awesome. Okay. Well, really quick, I could never do you justice for your amazing bio. If you do not know Tracy, she is phenomenal, and she is actually has over 26 years of experience in commercial aviation. And are you ready for this? Almost 7,000 flight errors. Oh my gosh, flight hours. Tracy, you are amazing. I am just blessed that I got to meet you several years ago. And one other thing that I really want to kick it off with, recently, you have won an award with the Women in Drone, Women in Technology. Share that before we get started. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Desi. Clearly, I'm good at some things, and Outlook calendar invites is definitely not one of them. She can fly 737, but trying to drive Outlook. So in January, I had the biggest honor of collecting the award for the Hall of Fame, Women in Drones Hall of Fame for Women in Emerging Technologies. And I'm so proud to be recognized for that award for my many years of contributing to aviation safety and the regulatory and compliance frameworks for unmanned aircraft systems safety. And hopefully that sets the stage for safety programs for the future of our autonomous and unmanned systems airspace. So one of the, I guess, contributing factors has been some of the work that I've been doing for my PhD research, in which we also did augmented reality in aviation airline pilot training, as well as some of the issues that are affecting the low altitude airspace safety with the integration of unmanned aircraft systems and the urban air mobility aircraft vertiport ecosystem. So my research has been pretty exciting, and I'm really been very privileged to be supported in my research from Airbus and also the FAA through the Assure program. The PhD is almost ending, and probably one of the most exciting things for me was receiving that award from Women in Drones to be in their Hall of Fame forever. So, I mean, that is big. We definitely celebrated that in my family. But moreover, I think it's very important for me to actually get it out there that women have a very important role to play in aviation and autonomy. We have a workforce shortage at the moment. You probably heard on the news for pilot shortages. I'm actually going back to flying. I'm excited to announce I actually start in a cargo airline part-time very soon, flying a 767. You just can't keep this girl out of the flight deck. So, and it's important for me to keep that message strong that, you don't have to be a pilot to be in aviation. You can do anything, and UAS and drones are certainly a wonderful demonstration of that.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. And it's so awesome to see all that you've done in the industry recognized. And so congratulations again. Yes. So I am excited to see your presentation. I did make you a co-host and spotlight, so you should be able to share your presentation. If you want to bring it up, we can get the ball rolling.
Absolutely. Okay, bear with me while I drive this. And let me know if you see the presentation.
We sure do. Yes.
Excellent. Now, I want to ask you, is the Zoom screen obstructing any of the presentation, or is it unobstructed?
It looks like it's in full screen. It does have the tabs on the left-hand side and the stuff on the top, your tabs on the top. But the
Okay.
screen is actually full screen.
All right. Well, with this trip in San Antonio to visit my friend, this is as good as it's going to get, ladies and gentlemen. So
it must be perfect.
Yes, it could be perfect because it's casual, and we're very casual today. So today I want to talk to you about something that's actually a very personal experience to me. So I'm not actually promoting my company or anything like that. What I really want to do is share with you the experience that I recently had in doing my own consulting company on my own, and some of the things I've learned over the last 18 months. And one of them is this phenomenon called stealth consulting. And stealth consulting is something I think we as women in particular fall victim to, because there are some very interesting factors with women that we're very kind and big-hearted and we want to help. So this can be a definite advantage, but also a disadvantage to us. So let's go on and see if I can change. There we go. And I just want to remove that to one side. So basically, what is stealth consulting? I mean, if you Google it, you're not really going to find that it's a thing. It's more a colloquialism at the moment. So stealth meaning surreptitious or an under the radar procedure. It's very difficult to detect something that's stealth, obviously, like the stealth aircraft. There is a military aircraft called a stealth aircraft. It's a very awesome aircraft. But in this context, the meaning of stealth is really that not openly in your face, very under the radar, surreptitiously gaining some advantage or gaining information. So what is then stealth consulting? So basically it's an adjective, obviously. It's basically a surreptitious socializing or communicating or working with people to get valuable tips and advice and basically just pick your brain. That's probably something you've heard before. I just want to pick your brain on something. And it's often a very gradual kind of the way the relationships develop, and it's difficult to detect. And it's often, you know, if you think you may be becoming a victim to stealth consulting, they'll say, oh, I just want to, have you got time for a quick call? Or, oh, I really want your advice on something. And that happens quite a lot, especially if you are really good at what you do and you're friendly and you're open to sharing. But one of the things I want to make sure before I go any further into the presentation is to tell you this is for business relationships only. This is not for your friendships. Okay, let me just get rid of that on my screen. This is not for your friendships. You know, obviously, stealth consulting in your friendship is called helping your friends. All right, so that's not what this presentation is about. If Desi ever rings me, I would give her the whole, like, as much time as she needed, because I consider her a friend. Oops, sorry, I'm on my computer. So women are more susceptible to this than men, and it's fair enough, I guess. But I just made that statement up, but we all know it to be true. So we are basically there are several factors that contribute to our sorry, let me get rid of that. There are several stand by, sorry. There are several factors that contribute to us being more susceptible to stealth consulting. Number one is we're usually a minority in aviation or UAS, and we want to prove ourselves. So that's definitely a factor. The other factor is we genuinely want to help other people in our industry. And I think that's a noble thing. So we try not to lose that. But we also want the client to purchase our services. I mean, we need to eat, right? So we do need to make sales. And sometimes when you're consulting, you are the product. So there is a very fine line between consulting and stealth consulting. Unfortunately, people, it's just human nature, will take anything for free that they can get, even if they're not really purposefully wanting to stealth consult. Everyone will take all the help you can give them, especially if it's free. And the other thing is we as women do also judge others by our own values and our own ethics. So essentially, I put in a cute little kid in there because we have a soft spot. We are cute little kittens, really, in our hearts. But we have to be a little bit more like that black jaguar I had on my front cover. So we are good consultants, right? We listen to our potential customers. We really care about their needs and challenges. And we're smart enough and we have special gifts, all of us, with each of our businesses, even if we're working for somebody else. So often we have quite a lot of value to give. And the other thing about us is we also want to inspire confidence. So our customers do buy our services. So we are smart kitties, really. And this is one of the things that I wanted to share with you. So rookie tip 1, and I've fallen into this lesson myself. Your time, your talent, and your treasure is little kid that is actually worth something. And I had a very smart person tell me once that you have your time, your talent, and your treasure. So your time is inherently a intangible value proposition. Your talent is your unique perspectives, your experience, your qualifications, even your personality and what you bring to the table is of tangible value. And what you can do or produce for your customer, the problems you can solve for them, are your treasure. And so therefore, your time, your talent, and your treasure becomes the customer's treasure. So that's really important. And, you can actually measure that. And one of the things that saved me from keeping on falling into this rookie error is to actually start to measure it so that I can see if I want to help out a customer without charging them. I know exactly what I am giving them in terms of value. And I think that is important. So tip 1 for me, I just made this spreadsheet up. It's just an example. So monetize your time, talent, and your treasure. And how you do that, there are so many ways. I'm happy to share with everyone the way I've done it. I used a spreadsheet and I worked out what level of effort or expertise particular things take me. And then I times that by the time taken for particular task. And then I also have this factor in for what am I giving up in order to get this work done. So if customers want you to work on the weekend or after hours or at night, or perhaps they need a rush job, you need to factor those things into your time, talent, and treasure spreadsheet. So that's just an example of one of the tools that I developed. It's a little comprehensive because I have my level of expertise in low, medium, or high. And after I gave this presentation to Women in Drones meeting a couple of months ago, I did end up sharing this with a few of the ladies who attended, because it's just a place to start, right? So that's tip one for not falling into the trap. And here we go. We've got cats in a boardroom now. And this is just another example. This is tip 2 of 4. And I've moved these into a bit of a conglomerate for you. So number 2, document your engagement processes for your customers. So now when I operate or engage with a customer, after we've gone through the first get to know you meeting, then I give them some documents about how they engage with my company and all of the options that are available to them. So they can engage at an ad hoc basis or by project basis, but it's very, very clear that if they want me to work for them or one of my consultants to work with them, that there is some clear guidelines that we follow to make sure that the customer gets the best value and I don't become a victim to stealth consulting. I actually used a flowchart to help the customer or potential customer work through this. So that could be something that would work for your the way you work as well. Tip number 3 is these documents are often shared with your customers because it does keep them within those guardrails that I talked about. One of the things that my company has done is we have a travel and expense policy, so that if they know that I've got to travel or one of my other ad hoc consultants has to travel, we've got a travel policy and an expense policy. We have our rates and our payment terms and availability expectations and completion of project expectations. But probably the final tip that I can give anyone who's wanting to consult or just having a difficult time in navigating the stealth consulting phenomenon, if they're experiencing, is be flexible. And the biggest thing, I think, is just walking away. And there have been times where I've actually walked away from a potential client because it's really just not going to be worth my time in working for them. And that's a very difficult thing to really do, and probably the hardest thing, because at the end of the day, inside us, we are the kitten, but we need help and boundaries to become this jaguar to actually protect our families and our businesses as well. So, this is how we make the case and protect ourselves and try to avoid being a victim of stealth consulting by going from not rookie to ruthless, but just smarter in how we deal with our customers. And I'm happy to share any tools or tips. I can still tell you, do I still form a victim to stealth consulting? Yes, I absolutely do. So I think it's just one of those things that if you have tools and guidelines to follow, you'll feel less likely to fall into a trap and more likely to realize your self-worth and make others realize that too. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and hopefully that made sense to everybody, and I'm happy to open it up for questions.
So please feel free to put any questions into the chat if you'd like. And I do actually have a few questions that I would like to ask Tracy. That spreadsheet's amazing. Definitely we would want to share that, because that is, look, see, even Caroline says that spreadsheet.
Yeah, and I have shared this, and like the numbers are all made up, so I'll share with you what I have, but then you can edit it as you go. And I like things automated, so I have them already pre-populated with drop-down lists, so you can change those as well. And it helps you do a very quick quote for a customer as well. So it's a twofold tool. It's for yourself to go, okay, well, actually, I've just given that customer about $3,000 worth of free consulting. And it also helps you illustrate to your customer that your time is being tracked and it's valuable too. Should you want to share that with your customer. So it is a tool for yourself, but it's also a tool for invoicing and justifying the amount of value you're giving your customer in return for your time, your talent, and your treasure.
It helps to identify right up front where you want to present yourself and how you want to present yourself. So in kind of following through with that, once you're actually talking and having negotiations with a client, you had mentioned that you have other documents and such like that that you would send to them. How do you know when you make that hurdle? Okay, now I want to make that quote out there, or I need to send out XXX documentation. How do you know when you make that transition?
It's really good because it is different with every customer, and it depends on how much and what they need you for and what you can do for them as to when do you give them your estimate. And I have a little flow document whereby I have 1 or 2 meetings first, and during the first meeting I'm kind of gathering all the information. I'm furiously making notes about what they need. The second meeting is usually me reading back to them what I think they need and how I can proceed and what deliverables they want from the scope of work. And then from that, I will then give them what we call an estimate. And then the estimate usually has in it what the estimated costs will be to them, but it clearly also gives them the deliverables, and it includes the rates, it includes the travel policy documents and that sort of thing, so that there shouldn't be any surprises. And then from the estimate, that's when you basically, okay, do you want to move forward or not? And it's at that point where and you emphasize to the customer, this is just an estimate. It could be less, or it could be, usually it's not more, but it could be less. It's like the worst, it's like the most expensive estimate. So at that point, there comes a point in the potential customer relationship whereby you've given them enough of a taste, and if the documents that you've given them are all professional, they're a good indication of what likely your end product is going to look like, and then they can move forward. They can move forward or not. So at some point, they do have to put the money where the mouth is, right?
Right, right. And I think that is something that so many of us in many spectrums of business, not just the drone industry or AAM. And so I think that's something that many of us have try to overcome. It's like, okay, we need to make that step. We need to take that first step and say, here it is, and confidence. So how do we actually find that confidence? We've got our spreadsheet, we're looking good. We know we have skill sets to offer. Many of us have said, we got that phone call, let me just talk to you for an hour or two, right? Yeah, I get it. Yeah. So where do we get that confidence to say, you know what, it's time to make a transition. It's time to pay for that time and talent and gifts that we have.
It's so true, Desi. And it's quite funny. And you might see I'm laughing to myself, because for me, it's not the confidence so much. It's the fact that I really want to help this operator. Like, I've fallen in love with their concept, their ConOps, or what they're trying to do in the industry. I've really enjoyed engaging with the company, and I really want to help them so much. And I think that passion for the industry is something that I have to curb, not the confidence, but that, Tracy, you can't work for free forever. It's like, and there's like the little enthusiastic side of me fights with the business side of me and says, well, you know exactly what they need, and you can do that, and you could just do it for them. And then they've got the business side of me that's like, no, they have to, this is why you went to university and did all this stuff. They've got to pay for that. So it's quite funny. So for me personally, it's not having the confidence, it's having that jaguar, that picture of I've got to go from eager, soft kitten to the jaguar that says, hey, come on, fair is fair. And, sometimes I have walked away from projects that I really personally want to do. But I will be missing out on actual paid work if I accept it. So there's that having the confidence, and that separating that really willingness to help. So if you've identified, I think, that your issue is more a confidence issue, that's where the documents and the spreadsheets are going to be your backbone to help you rely back on them. If you have my problem, which is over enthusiastic, wanting to help because you've fallen in love with a project, that I think is also very difficult. So, and again, having the spreadsheets and the document kind of bring me back to reality, because I have tallied up my time that I've spent on some operators just giving advice, and it really adds up. So yeah, discipline perhaps.
Yeah, very much so. So we do have some comments that are in our chat, and Sheila, backing up a little bit. For one, I want to say a big shout out to Sheila because she always helps me run the behind the scenes there. So thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Sheila.
And sounds like there is a need for an app. Where are the software designers, right? And we just
yeah,
Kimberly Penn on last week talking about AI. And this is definitely something in that direction that we could use. And then Eric shared a very interesting presentation he had said, and he had some mistakes that were made in his early years. And so I'm going to read this, unless Eric, you want to unmic and share your experience really quick here.
Sure, I'd be glad to. First of all, who wins every business negotiation? The party who can afford to walk away from it. If you don't value your time, you can't expect your customer to value your time. I'm a patent and trademark attorney. I don't make surfboards or make drones. All I have to sell is my time. That's all I have to sell. And I'd better be making money off it because I've got a family to feed because of it. The other thing, I used to belong to a lot of chambers of commerce. Now I belong to 0 chambers of commerce. I can go into that if anybody cares to listen, but be wary of the customer or the potential client who wants to take you out to lunch. Sometimes it's just to get to know you better. Sometimes it's because they don't value your time at $100 or $500 an hour. They value your time at whatever the Subway sandwich is going to cost them that they feed you. And then I absolutely hate the expression, pick your brain. It took 5 years of college, 3 years of law school, and 25 years of practice as an attorney to get what I've got in here. You can't pick my brain for free. I can't give it away.
Awesome.
The other thing I do that may work or may not, I put all the information I'm willing to give for free into 3 articles I've written. And so when somebody calls me, I send them out the 3 articles along with our price sheet. And I say, let me know if you want to engage our law firm. End of discussion. Willing to have a short phone call. Other than that, I'm not in the business of competing with LegalZoom for clients. So yeah, that may sound arrogant, but it's what you got to do if you want to make any money.
I really love that, Eric. And I think, you've got very good documented, your tools are your 3 articles that you have. And as you said, I mean, I think that's really powerful. And it does take a little bit of courage to do that, especially the first few times, because you really do think, geez, I'm walking away from not only some organization that needs my help, but really, I get it. I'm worth more than a Subway sandwich and picking my brain. So thank you, Eric. I know I'm on the right track to hear you say that as well.
Well, the other thing too, I mentor a group of young patent attorneys and patent agents, and I tell them, if you're short on money, get a night job at Home Depot or McDonald's. Somehow make sure you've got enough money in the bank so you can afford to walk away from this. Don't get desperate and start taking any job for any price that's going to come in. Even if you have to work outside of your field, make sure that you've got a decent bank account so that you can afford to walk away from these. Because once you start letting people negotiate down the price, it's going to get out in the community that that's not the real price.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. And I think that's very important too, Eric, because, I have spent and continue to spend a fortune on my education, which I think is really important because I value qualifications and education. And it's amazing what you learn. And then, the fact that also has to be, you have to get an ROI for all of the time you've invested in the knowledge that you've built up. So I absolutely 100% agree with that. And it's so good. It's so good to hear you say that, because one of the, I think, I don't know what my reputation or what people say about me behind my back, but I know one thing is, I think what people would say to me is, oh, Tracy's very knowledgeable. She's always happy to help out. But she's not cheap if you want to engage her. And I'm actually really happy that that is set out there, because I really do have a lot of value in my time, my talent, and treasure, and my product is good. We have
Yeah.
software. My company, we have software for safety management systems as well as consulting. But I know from, our software is the absolute best on the market for aviation and autonomous systems, safety and quality risk management. But our consulting in the safety world is also the pinnacle, second to none when it comes to safety. And our products that we deliver are absolutely top notch. So I think establishing that benchmark and the reputation for that benchmark is imperative.
Yes, yes. And that in itself is how you can start to present yourself and have that confidence of this is it. Put out
Yeah.
that document like Eric does. Eric, I'm gonna move on to the next question. All right. So I did have another question in here, and it's from Janice. And she said, sorry if you've covered this, which I don't think you really did. How are you finding clients and vetting them?
That's a good one. So I launched my website early this year in January, actually. It actually went live the same week I won my Hall of Fame award, which was very fortuitous. Yes. It was one of the first things I posted on my website was in the news, Tracy wins this award. So that was really great. I am finding that I am more of a business to business consulting and software firm by reputation predominantly. I did dabble in a little bit of advertising. I did not get the ROI from the advertising. At this point, I'm getting more through my website, which is very good. Please, everybody visit my website. It's www.quantum-ai.global. If you just Google quantum AI, you probably won't find it, but you can also find me through my LinkedIn page as well. But I'm finding that I would rather have better quality customers than more customers that are not willing to pay for the quality of service that we give. So how do I vet them? I know I know the industry really, really well. I'm fairly well connected in the industry. People know me, I know people. So I generally sound out with the first couple of phone meetings with the customer, how serious they are, how much do they need my services, are they willing to pay for my services? And from the first few meetings, you can usually get a general sense. Then I send out my paperwork, which gives them an idea of my pricing structure, what kind of commitment we can give them. And we give them great commitment. I mean, we are what I would call higher end of market value, but the deliverables we give are in top notch. So that is really the process by which I vet them, if that answers the question.
I believe it did. It did. Yes. And so, also along those lines, what about follow-up? Once that information is out there and you've presented it to them, how do you go about doing a follow-up with them?
Yeah, so generally speaking, we're not in the business of a hard selling at Quantum AI. Our software is really the bread and butter or the backbone of our company. So the safety consulting is very important to us, but at the end of the day, for us, if we've given them all the information, we've given them we've given them a taste of our talent and our treasure, and given them an example of what we can do. Once they have that information and we've followed up, we hear nothing back, then we do walk away. So yeah, it's like Eric was saying, you've really got to, there's really only so much you can do. The harder you sell to a customer that probably isn't really in a position to pay for your services or take seriously what you're putting down, they're probably not the customer you want to build your reputation with, because at the end of the day, what you do for your customers, it comes back to your reputation as well.
Awesome. And again, that circles back to, like you were saying, that value that you present, and if they're not valuing it, then you do want to move on from it. So we have some other comments into our chat, and so we only have a few more minutes left, and so I do want to address these really quick, and sorry if I've missed anybody. So Janice said yes, thank you, that answered her question. And then Dennis has said an acquaintance tried to get his wife to do a stealth consulting. So great advice there. And then Joanna. So Joanna is also another award winner. Congratulations, Joanna. Good to see you. And she says, good to see you, Tracy.
Good to see you too, Joanna.
Thank you for the valuable intel. And she needed to hear it at this time, and she's formed her LLC, and she's officially the full-time drone artist. Actually, I believe she just recently won yet another award. Phenomenal. Oh my gosh. I'm just so
Congratulations.
people. And so she's offering private lessons to help out, and see if I said this correctly. And so she stopped doing free advice for strangers, and so she's not saying no, but trying to offer a valuable alternative. And I love that. Don't just say no. I love that aspect. So we have to dig deep inside ourselves and find out, what is that alternative? What would that look like to you, Tracy? What would be a alternative that somebody could offer?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really important thing. So thank you for bringing that up, and congratulations, Joanna. And I'm looking at the chat, and thank you to Sheila and Eric for complimenting my website. That's very kind of you. It is important because, that side of me that wants to help out so desperately, and I know exactly what they need, and I know exactly how they can achieve it, but they don't want to, or they can't pay for any professional services, and they just can't they're not in the right position, or whatever their reasons may be. So I tend to give them as much guidance as I can for free. And I'll say to them, listen, here's the list of resources. Go and figure it out for yourself, and that's my valuable alternative. The second best thing, if they can't afford to have me help them out, and I've liked them and I feel for them and I think they're doing a good thing, I will actually send them a bunch of resources that can, they're going to have to do a hell of a lot of work, and they're probably not going to really know what they're doing, but they may be able to fumble through and get themselves across the line enough to achieve what they were wanting to pay me to achieve for them. that's the last resort from me. I did that fairly recently with a potential customer. I said, look, here's, join this standards body, and these are the standards that you want to purchase off the standards body. And if you follow those standards, you should be able to get yourself over the line. And so that is the only alternative that I can sort of give people who don't want to take that next step or can't take that next step of engaging a professional, is to say, well, if you really want to do it yourself, DIY, that's can get you a start. And I'm here for you if you want to give me a call. So that's probably the alternative that I offer them. But having said that, I'm also kind of sorry that I've done that in the past as well, because further to Eric's point, I only knew exactly where to look and how to enable those resources because of all of my research development, my qualifications, my education, and my experience. So am I devaluing my ability to help the industry by basically just spilling all these valuable beans everywhere? So it really is a double-edged sword we walk.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And Joanna made a really good one that I like. Teach them how to fish and they will eat for a lifetime. And yeah, so many times you see that people just want to gather that information. And I know from past experience of teaching, it's no, you need to find that path. Here's where you look, but you need to find that path. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, really, do we, teaching them to fish is a great analogy, but this is a very complex industry we are talking about here. How much do we want to teach them to fish on their own, and what traps are they going to fall into by trying to fish themselves? And that's where I have some ethical dilemma, because you don't really want to muck around with compliance and risk management. You really want to have risk management frameworks and safety assurance and quality assurance frameworks that are, in our industry, they can be extremely comprehensive, and you need to know what you're doing. If you build something with a lack of deep knowledge and deep expertise, safety will suffer down the track. And I think that's where we can get dangerous in our industry. Now, I'm just not talking about small commercial drone photography. I'm talking about when you're getting into airspace integration, integrating larger UAS, integrating more autonomy, integrating urban air mobility with regular aviation. So there is a safety continuum in which we have to say, okay, I'm happy to teach the lower end of the continuum how to fish, but as you work up through the safety continuum into more complex, higher risk operations, you want to have a professional fisherman helping you fish while you concentrate on the other things in your business that you're really good at. So I think there is definitely that continuum to think about.
Agreed. Yes. And she did a follow-up with, she'll show them where to buy the fishing pole.
Yeah, or show them exactly. Or, put yourself out as a fisherman and say, look, you can do this yourself, or you can have, quantum AI fishing group fish for you.
There you go. That's one of the things that I love about the San Diego Drone Pros is we are a small group, but we are that spectrum just within the drone community, obviously. But we have people that are each one in a different realm. And when somebody's first getting started, it's different than somebody that is out there doing professional work on a high-end level. And so there are those steps that are involved in it. So I love that documentation that you provide, and it does sound right in line with what Eric had said that he sends out. Is your documentation very similar to that, where right up front, here's our prices and everything? It's one document that you send out at that point?
Yeah, I have a standard client package, I call it. And the package contains my travel policy, my rates, obviously a nice executive summary that tells them, what we do. So that's fairly standard. Usually I find customers want a confidentiality NDA. So I have my own NDA. So I send that along in the client package. Then I have engaging quantum AI, which is a little flow chart of what happens, after you have a few phone calls to figure out what your scope of work is and what your objectives are and what the ROI is. I have a little flow chart, which I'm very happy to share. So that's a documented guardrail. Also, my website is definitely one of those things that I encourage new customers to look at. On my website, you'll see I've got 18 academic peer-reviewed publications that I've written attached to my research over the past few years, so they can do a deep dive into some of the studies that me and Quantum AI has done. We also provide links to, the ICAO and the FAA relevant documents for safety management systems and risk management. So, they have access to as much information. On our website, we've also got client testimonials of predominantly related to our software system, which is, as I said, one thing we really want to concentrate on. And, that just gives them all they need to know. And at the end of the day, having all of that, they really have no other excuse but to make the decision. Do we want to move forward and engage quantum AI, or do we want to try and fish ourselves?
Are you ready to jump in, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, jump in and let us help you let us help you. So
Yes.
help
So
us help.
we are just about out of time. And so I know a lot of people have to jump off for other meetings. Probably you do as well, or run out the door. And so can we just wrap it up with one last bit of advice that you would have to share with us before we wrap it up for today?
Oh, goodness me. Well, one last bit of advice. Well, I know for me, I definitely love what I do. I love aviation. I love aviation safety. I love the UAS, and I'm passionate about the success of integrating this new technology and interfacing it with our wonderful human machine interface. I have to say, I've just also joined the board of directors of a company that really does sum up this value proposition, being the Advanced Air Mobility Institute. So if you haven't seen that either, now that sums up everything that really I'm passionate about, which is that authentic way to integrate UAS and urban air mobility safely into our environment. So my last word of advice is, whatever you do it with heart, do it with passion, commit to it. And if you have the guardrails to help you not be taken advantage of and to get that reciprocating value, you should be okay. But if you master it, definitely come and talk to me, because I still am yet to master it. I'm still very passionate about what I do, and I really need to follow my own advice.
Awesome. Well, Tracy, I thank you so much. So inspirational, such great information. We already have a bunch of thank yous into our chat. And I know some people would like to maybe reach out and get a hold of that spreadsheet, if that's okay. Do you mind if we share your email, or how do you want them? Or is it through LinkedIn? How do you want us to reach out to you?
You can reach out to me anyway. I get on LinkedIn, probably not as much as I should, but you can reach me through LinkedIn. You can send me an email. It's just tlam@quantumai dash global. Quantum AI, yes, that's right. Quantum AI dash global. You can also reach me through my website. And yeah, look forward to, definitely happy to share. Happy to share.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And we appreciate your time being here and sharing with us. So inspirational.
Thank
so
you, Desi, and thank you everybody for having me on. It's great to see you all. Congratulations to Joanna. Thank you for the compliments on my website, everybody. Thank you, Eric. See you soon, Desi.
Okay. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. That kind of wraps it up.